Welcome back to the Chapter 1 Part B lecture series. In this video, we're going to focus mostly on unit conversions, but before we dive into that, I want to go over one last example with sig fig calculations. So I've got it circled here on the right. It's a Part C example where we have 8.0 divided by 4.0. Now remember in sig fig calculations that you want to take the least number of sig figs. Now in both of the numbers listed, you have your non-zero digit and you also have a decimal present, so you're going to count that 0 to the right of the non-zero digit. So in both of those numbers we have 2 sig figs, which means that we need 2 sig figs in our final answer. Okay, well if I plug this into the calculator is going to report back the value 2, just a plain 2. But that's only 1 sig fig. So when we report our answer, we have to add the zeros back to give significance. Okay, but I can't change the magnitude of the number. So instead of just 2, my final answer would be 2.0. Okay, so just keep that in mind with sig figs. You may have to add zeros back to get the proper number of sig figs. So we are going to dive into unit conversions. Now, conversion factors are going to be numbers that have 2 different units that will get us between from one unit to the next. Okay, now these conversion factors are usually separated by a fraction sign. But we'll see that they could be represented as an equality or as a phrase. Okay, so we're going to, in number 11, look at an equality and turn it into 2 possible conversion factors in a fraction form. So we're given 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. So there are always 2 ways that we can write conversion factors. We're going to have to keep everything that's on one side of the equality together. So that would be 1 inch, and I'm going to abbreviate inch as IN. That would go on top, and then on bottom would go the other side of the equality, which would be the 2.54 centimeters. Okay, so you're going to hear me say often, do I want to keep or flip the conversion factor? Well, in this case, if I want to flip this conversion factor, I would simply put the 2.54 centimeters on top and then the 1 inch on the bottom. Okay, so those are the 2 possible conversion factors that I can have. But keep in mind that the number has to stick with that unit. So if that 2.54 is with the centimeter, it has to stay with the centimeter in both conversion factors. Okay, so that's what's important. Now, in this class, we're going to have you memorize conversion factors for the following 3 metric prefixes. We've got the milli, the centi, and the kilo. So, for examples, 1 millimeter is equal to 0.001 meters. Now, that prefix milli is right here. Okay. And the base can change. So 1 millimeter equals 0.001 meters. We could change that base to say a gram and have 1 milligram equals, and the numbers stay the same, 0.001 grams. We could also do that with the liter. So 1 milliliter equals 0.001 liters. Okay, so as long as that prefix stays a milli, it's always going to be 0.001 of whatever that base is, whether that base is a meter, a gram, or a liter. The centi, just as one example, we've got 1 centimeter equals 0.01 centimeters. Or again, we can change out the meter for the gram or the liter, so we could say 1 centigram equals 0.01 grams. Sorry. Okay, and then the last example is the kilo. So the kilo is the one that's bigger than the base unit. 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. or 1 kilogram equals 1,000 grams, or 1 kiloliter equals 1,000 liters. Okay, but those are the 3 prefixes that you have to have memorized for this class. And those are 3 examples using the meter, but you can change out that base. Now, all other metric prefixes are going to be given to you on conversion sheets for exams. So here's an example of what one would look like. And that will be available to you on a test, so you can see you've got all of those prefixes here. Okay, so we're going to jump down into unit conversions. Remember, you've always got a given, a target, and a certain number of conversion factors that you're working with. The given should be a single unit. Okay, so there should not be any type of a slash or a fraction in that unit. It should also not be part of a phrase or an equality. Okay, and we'll look at some examples as we go along. The target is going to be what the question is asking for. So what units are your final answer going to be in? And then the conversion factor, that can be presented several different ways. It could be in the form of an equality. It could be in the form of a phrase. So a vial contains 20 grams of medicine. That can be converted back into an equality where you say 1 vial equals 20 grams of medicine. And then it could be displayed as a single number with multiple units. So 50 miles per hour or 5 grams per milliliter, especially when we look at density. Density, speed, those are conversion factors. Okay, and the conversion factor doesn't always have to be given to you in the question. If it is if it's an equality or one of those metric prefixes that you're expected to memorize, or if it's on that conversion factor sheet that you can use, then it may not be given in the question. Okay, and then conversion factors can be kept or flipped based on what we need to solve the problem. And we always want to orient those conversion factors so that the target units are on top and the given units are on the bottom. Okay, so let's go over an example. What I have listed here, where I've got the given and then the arrow with the conversion factor and the target, that's what we call a roadmap. Okay, and that just gives us an idea of how we want to always set up our conversion factor problems. So, in the question, how many meters are in 75 centimeters? There's only one number, and so that must be the given information. So 75 centimeters is where we're going to start. Now they're asking how many meters, which means that that must be the target. Okay, and if you notice, there isn't a conversion factor given in this question. We've only got the given information and the target. So that conversion factor must be something that we had to memorize, or it must be available in that conversion factor sheet. And if you remember, the centi prefix is one of the 3 that we have to have memorized. Okay, so 1 centimeter is equal to 0.01 meters. So I'm going to rewrite that down here on the side. And that is my conversion factor. I'll abbreviate it. Okay, so we always want to start with the given information. The given information is that 75 centimeters. We write that down first. Then we're going to multiply by the conversion factor. Okay, we have the equality. We're going to set it up in a fractional form just like we did up in number 11 here. Okay, but the importance is that when I set that fraction up, I want to make sure that the target units are on top and the given units are on the bottom. So the target, what I'm trying to get to, is the meter, right? So I was given 75 centimeters and asked how many meters. So that means I want the meter to go on top of my fraction, which is the 0.01, meters, remember that number has to stick with that unit on that side of the equality. And then the 1 centimeter is going to go underneath. So in my calculator, I'm going to multiply 75 times 0.01 and then divide by 1. And I should get back 0.75 meters. Okay, now when I try to figure out the units, the centimeters should cancel because there's a centimeters on top and a centimeters on bottom. And then I'm left with the meters that I want. I started out with 2 sig figs, okay, and the number 75. Both of those are significant. And then my conversion factor, remember, that doesn't count because we talked about how conversion factors, those metric prefixes, have infinite sig figs. So everything here in my fraction, that's infinite sig figs. So I want 2 sig figs in my answer. And thankfully that's what I have because I start with my leftmost non-zero digit, trace across to my rightmost non-zero digit, and that is indeed 2 sig figs. Okay, so 0.75 meters is my final answer. All right, so I think we will stop here and then pick up with another video where we just run through a bunch of unit conversion examples.